The Greater Centerville Historians organized in the year 2000. The purpose of the organization is to preserve the history of the Township of Centerville, Cleveland and surrounding area. Gerald O'Neill, Charlie Bauer, Richard Wiegand, and myself, Kathleen Sixel, were the founding members. In 1831, the territory south of Green Bay was sold to the U.S. government by the Native Americans who had title to the land. The consideration was the promise of a reservation in another state. The Township of Centerville was established in 1850. The township had a village called Centerville. The reason for the hamlet's original name of Centerville was, in the days of the Indians, there was a trail along Lake Michigan between Manitowoc and Sheboygan. This heavenly spot was exactly at the halfway mark, so the early white man gave it the name Centerville. In 1849, the village of Centerville was surveyed and laid out in lots and blocks. The village of Centerville was renamed Hika when the Postmaster General informed the village leaders that another Centerville was located in the state. When it became time for Centerville to be renamed, a judge in Manitowoc by the name of Albert Schmidt would take kids hiking. The judge said, "You can't call a town hiking, so why not make it Hika?" Thus, the village of Centerville became Hika. In the early years, Centerville had the vision of becoming a lake port. To encourage ships to dock there, 2 piers were built into Lake Michigan. Many German immigrants arrived by schooners, and the village began to grow. The village had a brick factory, stores, schools, a Lutheran and a Catholic church, mills, saloons, blacksmith shop, and a fire department, and a brewery. When the brewery was built, the settlement began to flourish. But when fire destroyed the brewery, the largest industry, there was no longer a need for the harbor facilities. So ended this chapter of the development of Hika. 2 miles west of Hika, another settlement known as St. Wendel began to grow. It had a Catholic church, a general store with a connected dance hall, and a post office was also located in the complex, a funeral parlor, and at one time a motel. With the clearing of the forest, tilling of the land began. This prompted the exporting of lumber and grains. The farmers of Centerville looked forward to the building of a railway since they had a serious problem transporting their products. In 1873, the Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western Railroad was built between the settlements of Hika and St. Wendel and was named Centerville Station. In 1880, Centerville Station was renamed Cleveland after President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland, at that point in time, owes its growth to the fact that the Township of Centerville was a rich farming community, and farmers for miles around would bring products to be shipped by rail or ship. The village of Cleveland had several grocery stores, a furniture store, a funeral parlor, several saloons, Lutheran church, hardware stores, several gas stations, newspaper, photographer studio, several car dealerships, cheese factory, several feed mills, livestock yard, and lumber yards. The biggest business was the Cleveland Co-op, which offered many types of services. With the failing of grain crops, the farmers began dairy farming. With the abundance of milk, another industry began, cheese and butter making. Local cheese factories dotted the countryside. One-room schools were usually built near the cheese factories, so children would have a ride to school when farmers brought their milk. In 1958, Hika, St. Wendel, and Cleveland incorporated into the village of Cleveland. In 1968, the Cleveland Elementary School was built. The Township of Centerville has seen many farming changes, but dairy farming is still the primary vocation. Today, Cleveland is known as the seat of Lakeshore Technical College, which offers an educational alternative to four-year colleges. An ancient proverb states, When an old person dies, a library burns to the ground. These words were the inspiration for organizing the Greater Centerville Historians. We hope to preserve as many memories as possible.
Okay, it's 6:30. It's time to get going tonight. We have a lot of stuff to do tonight, so I'm going to ask everybody, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We're going to start with the meeting and go through some of the other things here. So we're going to start here, and we're going to walk back and forth with the microphone until it gets to the end, and then we're going to come back with the microphone up here by Earl and pass it all the way back and forth. And everybody knows the microphone's up on my mouth so we can hear each other, right? And tonight we have 2 microphones. So what we're going to do with the 2 microphones is the person up here giving the talk will have a microphone, and then we got an extra microphone for floating around in the audience so everybody gets the question heard through the speakers in the ceiling. And all we need is your name and where you're from. So I'm Charlie Bauer from Newton.
Go right ahead, please.
Ready for Cleveland.
Thank you.
Ready for Cleveland.
Very good.
Frederick Jacoby, Manitowoc.
Good.
Rick Beiersdorf, Town Mimi.
Thank you.
Bob Craigie, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Shelby Herman, Talamini.
Thank you for coming.
Lana Priggy, Cleveland.
Good. Thank you.
Irene Dine, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Alice Mathias, Cleveland.
Good.
Willard Mathias, Cleveland.
Henry Koch, Manitowoc.
Judy Koch, Manitowoc.
Thank you.
Grace Yeager, Cleveland.
Thank you.
John Scott, Milwaukee.
Thank you.
Kirsten Husband, Cleveland.
Good. Thank you.
Earl Stoltenberg, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Cheryl Bauer, Town of Newton.
Thank you.
Amy Meyer, Grims.
Thank you.
Marie Rosenbauer, Newton.
Thank you.
Lisa Elfson, Newton.
Good.
Hazel Wagner, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Phyllis Hickman, Cleveland.
Thank you. Ken.
June Smazel, Rockville.
Thank you.
Ken Smazel, Rockville.
Good. Right ahead.
Brad Schneider, Lewis Corners.
Good. Thank you.
Paul Schwinn, Cleveland.
Good.
John Wiegand, Town Centerville.
Good.
Eugene Meiser, Cleveland.
Good.
Of the Greater Centerville Historians, and Kathy Sexel will not be with us tonight. Her son-in-law passed on, and the funeral was today. The one that she was always visiting to Minnesota for the last 6 months or so. So the funeral is tonight, and she did send a little email to let us know that what all took place there. And she said I should say hi to everybody. And what I did was I purchased a sympathy card, so I would like to pass that around here. If you wanted to add your name to that, and then I will send that to Kathy. And I do have a pen here. And some of the rules of the meeting tonight is we don't like any talking when the camera is on. So if you see the camera's red light on, we don't need any chattering. If you have a cell phone, put it on vibrate, or put it in the trash, or whatever you do with it. And I know the last couple of months we've always been talking about them Green Bay Packers, but now there's actually something to talk about. They won a game finally. Tonight we're going to start off with Amy Meyer. And some of you may have heard some of the rumors about the Mimi House Inn, and Amy Meyer is the executive director of the Manitowoc County Historical Society. And we have a little clip, a little video we're going to put in first, and then Amy will address the crowd just for a short time here, because Earl's got all this information he's just chomping at the bit to give us. So we're going to start with our little DVD, and then we'll have Amy take over.
Today we have September 30th, 2013, and we're here at our beautiful park, and I'll let Miss Amy Meyer indicate where we're at and so forth and what we're all about. Go right ahead, please.
We are standing outside the McAllister House Welcome Center at Pinecrest Historical Village, and here we are right here on the map today.
Just 1 second. Okay, and that's called what?
The McAllister House Welcome Center.
Okay,
So this is a full map of the 60 acres that is owned by the Manitowoc County Historical Society for Pinecrest Historical Village.
okay,
Just a few frames of reference. Highway JJ is right here, and Century Road comes in right here.
okay, in that corner there.
Into our property.
And that comes into open field, is that right?
Yep, this is all open fields, and then we have an agreement with the person who owns the field right below us to let us bring things in off of Century Road into our property.
Okay. And as far as other entryways, can you point out that also, the main entryway, if you will?
Yep, this is the public entrance, so Highway JJ is right here, and it goes on to Pinecrest Lane.
Okay,
So when people come in, they'll drive up through here and then park in the parking lot outside the McAllister House Welcome Center.
okay,
And once they go through the Welcome Center, they can make their way into the village.
All
So
right.
right here is the locomotive and the train depot.
keep going, please.
Our Children's Discovery Village is right here.
Good,
We have the harness shop, the blacksmith shop, the saloon and the doctor's and dentist office, the machine shed, the granary,
okay,
the cheese factory, the law office, and the bank,
okay,
our general store and meat market,
okay,
dressmaker shop, the Rockwood Firehouse, the Two Creeks Town Hall, the Netting Dance Pavilion, the Niles Church, the Sorensen House, or the school, the Sorensen House,
okay,
the Coonsey House, the Thompson Cabin, the Vetting House, what will open in May 2014 is a print shop,
oh, okay,
a bee house, and this building isn't open to the public, but this is our barn. in the back.
okay, in there, okay. And the fields that are surrounding you is open fields for whatever, at this point, was it used for some other purpose?
Yep, this back 18-acre field is currently rented out by Ken Wagner. He rents it from us. And starting in 2014, we've actually ended our contract with Ken Wagner, and we will take over control again of the back 18 acres.
Okay,
And the Mid Lakes Rustic Iron Club, who we work with for our tractor show and threshery, will actually be renting little sections of this from us to do crops, and it'll also help with our tractor show that we do with them, where all of the demonstrations and activities will take place in this backfield as well.
okay, very good, very good. And when you mentioned renting now, they will be paying you a little bit
Correct.
of compensation, I will?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And is there any, at this point, could you just show us where the main bowl, if you will, is located?
Sure, yep. Our bowl, as we call it, is right in the middle here.
Okay. And I do remember the Civil War reenactment goes very well in that bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay, Amy, there's some new things on the horizon here. A new building may be added, and do you know anything about this situation at this time?
I can tell you what I know.
Okay,
We have an agreement to purchase the Mimi House.
okay,
And we are still a couple $1,000s short on the purchase price for that property, but hope to make up the rest of the money and close in mid-October on
Wonderful.
that property.
wonderful.
So that purchase would include the Sessler Mimi House building, the pole house, and also the 5 acres that it sits on.
Really? You even the property itself?
We're buying the whole property.
Holy cow! Wonderful. Now that pole house, and that will that be moved at all?
The pole house we would like to see stay there,
Okay.
and we've had some interest from the town of Mimi to keep it there as well, and they might be considering purchasing it from us.
Okay, very good. Now I know there was, I think it's a livery stable, if I'm not mistaken, nearby on the south portion of that property there. Is that included in anything?
That's included in our purchase.
Oh, that is.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. Holy cow. I'm updated now. And as far as you need some additional monies, if you will, to sort of solidify the purchase. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything that you can throw at us at this point for money that you will be needed for that?
Sure. The whole purchase price is $66,000 that we've agreed to purchase the 5 acres and all the buildings. We are at about $45,000 as of today.
Great.
So in about 2 weeks, we were able to make great headway, but we're still short.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's some good-hearted people out there who want to preserve some history too. And the Mimi House, a little bit of history on that one from your knowledge of it at this point, or?
Charlie.
Oh, Charlie.
Well, I just know a little bit about it. I know it's older than the state of Wisconsin. It was built in
1847.
1847
Really?
by Michael Hare.
Really?
And
I don't
it
even
is a
know.
stagecoach inn.
Okay.
It would have been the Wade House, that's in Sheboygan County, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And that age, do you happen to
That
know?
was built in 1850.
1850. So this thing is about 3 years older?
And it's a post and beam barn. It's
Okay.
built just like an old timber frame barn. That's hand-hewed timbers,
Okay.
wood pins.
Okay.
It has an auditorium upstairs, or a dance hall.
Yes.
With a stage with sliding scenery.
Scenery,
in the back
yeah.
that can be moved. Yes.
Right, right.
So,
Right. Very unique. And a place for the weary traveler to rest a bit too?
yeah.
And that would have been in like a stagecoach days, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
And it
road.
was on the main highway,
Okay.
which became Highway 42,
Okay.
and now it's Pioneer Road.
Okay.
Because they kind of straightened 42 and bypass all the little communities.
Sure. Now, was it called the Green Bay Road, if I'm not
It was an
mistaken?
old military trail.
Military trail.
Yeah, went all the way up to Fort Howard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of history on there. Now, is there any preliminary thoughts as to where it would probably end up here at this point in time? Just a preliminary thing?
Yeah, we've got 2 sites
Okay.
that our little working committee has pinpointed right now.
All right.
We've only had a couple weeks to not only wrap around our minds or
Right.
wrap our minds around that we're getting a new building and raising the money, but there's a lot that has to go into figuring just a long-range plan for Pinecrest, which we currently don't have.
All right.
So part of the long-range plan is not only figuring out where to put the Mimi House, but other buildings that we are interested in purchasing
Sure.
and getting out here as well.
Very good.
So right now, one of the sites that we're looking at is kind of near to our Netting Dance Pavilion. So
Okay.
we would put a road going off of the trail that goes between the dance pavilion and the schoolhouse,
Okay.
and kind of trace around,
Oh,
and
that
then
way.
comes in by the general store.
All
so it'd
right.
just be like another little street in Pinecrest.
Very
A
good.
reason for putting the Mimi House here is it's close to the dance pavilion, so you can put bands in the dance pavilion and then serve our food service out of the Mimi House, and then still have it accessible for other venues as well.
Very good. Very good.
Bands could also come in through this,
Okay, can you go
Exit
back
right
on that a
here.
minute? You're coming from what road there?
coming in off of Century Road.
Yes.
Bands and other entertainment can come in through this road,
Yeah.
and we can kind of hide them behind the Mimi House. That way bands won't have to interrupt an event or whatever we're planning to come in through here and unload and then come back out later on. So this
Wow.
would be a more pleasing route to our visitors.
Okay. Okay. very good.
Another possible location is right here,
Right up
behind
there, okay.
our bank and
Okay.
facing the general store. I guess a pro for this reason, for this location, is that the building is kind of in our community center. It's in a place that's, the bank's nearby, the store is nearby, and it's just a stone's throw away from the depot as well.
Okay. Okay.
Obviously, a drawback from that is it's not near the dance pavilion, so we're separating food from entertainment, and also bringing in band vehicles and things like that is further away as well.
Okay. But you do, I'm sure you pointed out a street or a pathway,
Yes.
if you will. There will be that there also, I presume.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. The road is going in. We are going to be making a few changes to the current village as well to bring some things out into the field.
Okay.
Right now we have a sawmill located just on the other side of our McAllister House Welcome Center.
Yes.
And that sawmill is actually going to move into the field,
Okay.
as well as a couple other things that we are looking at, including a baseball field,
Oh my goodness.
which would be a hay field most of the season.
Yeah. You can bring in little vintage baseball teams out here,
Yes.
and they play on anything, I guess.
Mhm.
So, okay, that sounds very, very good. Okay, Charlie, have you had any thoughts in your mind as far as where it might be located?
No, sure, I just didn't have any time to,
Okay.
I'm working on a different thing here.
Well,
just
I gotta-
all together, but,
Good, good. Well, anyway, I gotta take my hat off to Amy, what you did here. Now, I know I talked to you about an aerial map and photo, but I didn't know I was getting this much. This is fantastic. And how did you do that again, if you could tell us?
Yep, I went on to Google Earth, and you just type in Pinecrest address, and you can get a whole aerial view of our area.
Really?
And just took it piece by piece and printed it off and put it back together.
Marvelous. That is just gorgeous. When I saw it the first time you showed us, I was just awed by what you did. I expected something minute and hard to read and black and white too. Very good. Let's see. I see a center. Oh, that what do you call it? Lipke House. Is that in the center area there someplace?
The Lipke House is right
Oh,
here.
there. Okay.
House is right here.
Oh, that one's there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
This one is the vetting house.
Oh, that's the vetting house. Gotcha.
And Sorensen House is right there.
Okay, very good. Okay. And I guess other than that, we can stop here for a minute and take a pause and gather our thoughts again. Thank you.
That was, I guess, a long time coming, but it's called so he's at rest, but that's... Yeah, it's always easy talking about it, but it's just like, and I didn't wait till you you have to clearly state, you know, I do not want to be kept alive in that state by right now. I'm sure it's
Stop it here, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Amy and let her expound upon her little project.
All right, thank you everyone for having me tonight. I guess from the video you can tell that the rumor is true. There's no surprise there, we kind of spoiled the beans on that one. But just a quick recap on how this all came together and how it laid out. On September 9th, I was supposed to be taking the day off, and Charlie called me in the morning and said, Amy, we've got a problem. From pretty much that day on, all our organization has been working on is the Mimi House project. The building is a phenomenal resource for not only this community but Manitowoc County, and to see something happen to it would be a huge tragedy for our area. So right now, as of this morning, we are at $51,000 that we've raised. We are supposed to be closing on the property on Friday. Doesn't look like we're going to get the full amount to close, so we're asking for a week extension, which will put us on to, that's the 25th. Is there a calendar in here? So we're hoping to close on that day as soon as we can get the needed funds to close on the property, which, like I said in the video, does include the full 5 acres and everything on the property. A couple of, I guess, things that we're working on just from our end. We'd like to move the building yet this winter. The DOT will only let us on the road when the ground is frozen. So we're looking at January, February. Don't really want to go into March. Quote to move the Mimi House, just the original structure of the rectangle area, is about $50,000. So on top of the purchase price of about $66, and then moving costs of about $50, and then we still have to put a foundation underneath, and then money to restore it. We're looking at well over $200,000. Wow. A little bit of background on, I guess, myself. I've been the director since August, so this is a huge step not only for myself, but for our organization as well. We just finished a $250,000 welcome center. Who's been out to Pinecrest to see it? A couple of you? It turned out very nice, if I do say so. So it's kind of bad timing for our organization to start another full project just a couple months after we opened our latest project, but it's something that our board of directors and just, you know, people interested want to see this building preserved. Yes, any questions?
You got a microphone over there?
Here?
Thank you.
Exercise rather than mileage.
Go right ahead, please.
John Wiegand.
Thank you.
We used to have the Civil War reenactment at Pinecrest every year. We haven't like the last 3 years. Is there any chance of ever getting that back?
Basically, no. To say it bluntly. The Civil War reenactment, it's great to see. I was a part of it in 2009 and 2010. It's a lot of work, and with the size of our staff right now, which consists of myself, it's not realistic for our organization at this time. We'd like to see it come back. I went out to the White House and talked to quite a few groups there when they had theirs in September, and the groups are interested in coming back out, but again, it's a staff commitment, and we don't have the volunteer group to support a large event like that as well.
I mean, the Civil War roundtable isn't enough of a group.
The group that helped us do that event is actually the 5th Wisconsin, which is no longer an active organization.
Because Manitowoc County does have a Civil War roundtable group.
Yes,
I
they
thought
do.
Didn't they help you out with this? Or no?
They helped facilitate it, but I mean, beyond that, they really didn't have much to do with it. It was the 5th Wisconsin that laid out a lot of the groundwork for that event.
Okay.
Question up here.
So Amy, I'm assuming you
Pardon
still
me.
need...
Pardon me.
Oh,
Your name, please.
I'm sorry. Thought everybody knew me. Cheryl Bauer from Newton.
Thank you.
Amy, I'm assuming you're still looking for some donors. And if we have some donors in the room here, how can they contact you or be a part of this great event?
Perfect, thanks Cheryl. All right, we have kind of agreed that we aren't going to go public with our purchase or our plans until we can get those keys in hand and nothing can stop anything from happening. So one of the issues that we're struggling with right now is we're basically relying on rumors to fund our purchase of the property for $66,000. Rumors tend to move quickly, but there's a lot of people who are, I guess, not fully aware that this is actually happening, and you do need funds to purchase the property. So we're going kind of group by group, person by person, with basically pleading for help. Like I said, we're about $15,000 short as of this morning, and any contacts you can help us make, any contributions would be greatly appreciated. We do have a couple brochures, and I can leave these here for you. You can pass them out to neighbors, friends, anybody you find coming, getting gas, I don't care. Any help would be incredible, you know, $5, $10, it all does add up to $66,000 at the end of the day. So if anyone has any contributions, you can contact myself, or there is a form in this little brochure as well, and you can just mail it into the Manitowoc County Historical Society. And I do have my business cards up here if anyone has any questions. Telephone, email, it all works.
Anybody else got any questions? Because Earl wants to get going on this story here. And I'm assuming you're going to leave the brochures here?
Yes.
How about the photographs? Can I get them back to you tomorrow?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So when we do our break at 7:30, if you want to come up and see the inside of or some of the older photographs here, Amy will leave them here. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate any help you would be able to provide for this project. It's a wonderful building, and the first time I went inside, I was just in awe. And it's a very exciting project, and I'm very excited for us to start and go public with it. But like I said, we can't share our joy with the community until we're actually able to purchase it. So thank you again, and let me know if you have any questions.
I'm gonna make one more walk to look at the ramp.
Well, when Kathy asked me to do this at least 3 years ago, I thought, oh, this would be fun. Till I had to sit down and try to organize it. I told her I have suitcases full of pictures. Well, the suitcases are still filled because I haven't had time to go through them. But I did put together something. I've always been interested in history, and it more or less started with a genealogy for our family, so that's where we're starting here. We've had it traced back to Germany, and the furthest one we can find is Klaus, and he was born in the mid-1600s, and he died in 1760. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace, we have his children, Anna and Heinrich and Klaus, and we're going to trace that to the children that come to America, and then eventually settle in Centerville. Klaus's profession was he was a husbandman and an overseer, and the words underneath are in German, and I didn't take German, so I won't even try. From there, the next one. We follow Heinrich. Heinrich was born June 26, 1707, and died in December of 1783. He had 3 children, Klaus, Heinrich, and Elach. He was a cottager. I guess we'll go on to the next one. Then we follow Klaus. Klaus was born in January of 1738, and he died February 22nd, 1821, and he was also a cottager. He had 5 children. I found that as you're trying to trace genealogy, it becomes very difficult because, particularly back in those days, somewhere along the line in every family, we go back and name them after grandpa, or great-grandpa, or grandma, or great-grandma, so it gets a little confusing. But we've gone from Klaus to Heinrich to Klaus, and the next one, we go back to Heinrich. And he was born in 1780, and for some reason the parish records do not have a record of his death. And there you can see his children. Peter is the one that we're going to follow now. Peter is the first generation that comes to America. And I have a map here. And this would go kind of like that too. Again, I'm not real sure on how, in America we have the United States of America, we have each of the individual states, we have counties, we have townships. I'm not exactly sure how this was all divided up in Germany, and the Reverend Potter Thyssen, who sent the information, was talking about the parish of Schonenberg and Heilendorf. So the best that I could kind of compare it to, using the maps that are on the computer today, I'm assuming the township would, our equivalent to a township would be the PLON, and then the parishes, that's Schonenberg, in the county of Schleswig, in the state of Holstein, in the country of Germany. That's the best way I could put it together. So you can see where the Stoltenberg family, actually there's a village, and I don't know if this is going to show up. This is the satellite picture of the village. Well, it's the other way around. I'll put this pretty small. Technology is wonderful. You can even see the buildings. All right, so Peter is the gentleman that came to America. And this is Peter and his wife Elizabeth. And they came to the with his brother, Klaus. Klaus. Yeah. All right. I want to talk a little bit about Peter. Settled on the farm on County Highway C in Manitowoc County. It was. It's now owned by Reichwelds. The farm, most of you probably remember it as the Victor Stoltenberg farm. That was the homestead farm. Peter came to this country in 1855, and I've often wondered why he would have left Germany. At that time, Germany had a lot of problems. He had been married, and he had a daughter named Emma, and she was 2 years old, and she died. She died in March, and he left with his wife to come to this country, right, in fall of the following year. So I'm assuming that they say that the loss of a child in a marriage is one of the most difficult times for parents. It is a time that many marriages won't continue, and I have a feeling he probably felt it's time for a new start. And so he and his brother and his brother's wife came to this country. They came through Ellis Island, and when they got to Chicago, the brothers parted. From what I can gather, they never really were in touch with each other again. Peter came north and settled in Manitowoc County, and Klaus went on west. And there are Stoltenbergs located in Iowa. There's Stoltenbergs in California. I don't know if they're all related or not. At one time, when I was in high school, I had looked it up, and they said there were only 94 families in America that carry the Stoltenberg name. So there weren't a lot of them that came over from Germany. And it's surprising now how many are showing up. I'm kind of surprised myself, because I was asked, well, what about the Stoltenberg? I think is it in the Kiel system? He's a fine arts teacher, and he was just wonderful, and I can't tell you whether he's related or not. Following the Peter's line, Peter, yeah. Okay, and this is going to be Adolf. So Peter was born in 1820 and he died in 1898, and his wife was Elizabeth Bannon. They had 6 children. Emma, of course, is the one that died in Germany, and she was only 2 years old. The rest of the children, William, Dorothea, Helene, Adolf, and Carl, were all born in America. The farm went on, was passed on to William, who later on was the grandpa of Victor. And Adolf, of course, had obviously different ideas of what he wanted his profession to be, and he moved on and became a merchant. And this is his picture. All right. Adolf was born in 1863 and died in 1946. He married Helen Dersch, and they had 4 children: Reuben, Alma, Clara, and Walter. Walter passed away again very young also. Just to give you some idea of placement of time, and the reason I did this is because when my first niece was born, and as she started to get to grade school age, she wanted to know what it was like when I went to school. And I said, well, I went to a one-room school with 8 grades in one teacher. And she looked at me and she said, well, how old are you? I was 32 years old. That didn't seem that long ago. So just to give you some idea of where you are in time, the first train came through the Cleveland area in 1876. You had the great fires of Chicago and Peshtigo in 1871. And all of these things kind of play together when you're looking at some of the things, the history. I'm sure these things, like the great fires, were kept in mind when Adolf built his first store. He was 26 years old. This is a picture of Adolf and Helen Dersch. And let me go from here. All right. I think this would actually, the oldest part, the part that he built in 1885, is the part on the right as you're looking at it. And in 1902, the square-shaped part was added. So it was actually a 2-part construction. Okay, then the next from Adolf. Son. There aren't a lot of pictures of Reuben. Reuben was a very heavy-set gentleman. This is a picture of him as a young man. Reuben is the second one from the right as a young man. This guy. Yes. Was him as he got a little older. He's the one to the left. I don't know who that is. And this is his obituary picture. That would be my grandpa, yeah. And if I put my dad's picture next to it, they're very much alike. Yes, he was only 57, and he was married to Alma Hika. The Hockeys originated over, I believe, in the Howard's Grove area. If you've ever been to the log cabin, they have a picture of the school, and there are like 7 Hockeys in that picture. Alma and her sisters, Tina and Ida, all lived here in the Cleveland area. Tina was married to Fred Mill, and Ida was married to a Sedlock. And Sedlock's, Mr. Sedlock, I believe, was in charge of the Cleveland Railroad Depot. Okay, let me go up here. His wife, Alma, and then it passed again to my dad. The picture, this is my parents' wedding. My mom and dad, of course, are in the center. Yes. Mom and dad, yeah. His mother is the next one over toward the flag, going the other way. There, that's his mother, my dad's mother. And my mother's sister and my Uncle Milton are the ones there. My Uncle Milton just passed away on Tuesday. And my Grandpa Miller and his wife, Margaret, that would be his second wife, are on that side. This was taken at, in Chicago, at, I didn't think I'd ever forget the name of that hotel. When I was very young in junior high, I was with the Sheboyganite Drum and Bugle Corps, and Mrs. Reineman, not Arlene, but Mildred Reineman, was a very big fan of drum corps. And so we decided we were going to take this trip down to Chicago. She didn't want to go by herself, so she offered to take me along, all of 13 years old, like I could do much. I was all excited. It was my first trip on a train. And so my mother, being, I suppose, the typical mother, decided that morning I needed new shoes. And I was too excited, so anything would go, and I ended up with a pair of shoes 2 sizes too small. We got down to Chicago, to the railroad depot down there. I had never seen anything like that. We got off the train, and we decided we were going to walk to Michigan Avenue. Did you know that blocks in Chicago are not like the blocks in Sheboygan? That was 13 blocks. And by the time I got to Michigan Avenue, I had blisters on the back of my heels. And so we got to Michigan Avenue, and we had the Pfister Hotel. And so we went down to the Pfister, which was also the headquarters for this thing. So I got to see that ballroom at the Pfister, and it was kind of a nice experience to see where my parents celebrated their wedding.
Could I interrupt, Earl? Mm-hmm. What year was that? Could you tell us that, or did I miss that?
I was 13. I was born in 50.
I mean, when they got married?
1950.
1950, thank you.
Okay. And then we all know where the store went from there. So now I have some pictures to try to organize, when Kathy talked to me, she said, well, we want you to talk about Adolf and how he was instrumental in the founding of the village of Cleveland. I found out that's going to be really hard because he was really involved in a lot of businesses, and so much so that when I made a list and I looked at that, I began to think, what did I do with my life? I mean, he built the old store. He was age 26 when he started.
Where is he at? This guy?
Adolf is the one standing there. Next to him is Clara Lutze, the little girl. My dad is the passenger in the car. And Ralph Sedlock is the young man at the steering wheel. My dad and Ralph would be cousins. I don't know who the other gentlemen are. I have a feeling from the picture that is a Hubmobile, and the Stoltenbergs sold Hubmobile. That was one of the many things. Adolf, just to give you a list of some of the things that Adolf was involved with, was of course the general store. He also ran a furniture store, which originally he rented space in the Baylitz building, and then moved from the Baylitz building into what is now our funeral home, and that became a furniture store and a manufacturing of furniture. Clara often talked about when she was a little girl and there was a death in the family, they'd come to the store and funeral business kind of evolved, and it was very often started with furniture stores or places that dealt with furniture or building of furniture. In their spare time, they built caskets. The funeral home building, if you were to get above our lowered ceiling, there are two balconies that run the full length of that building, and that's where they stored the caskets. So when the entrance to that building was originally on the north side of the building, and when a family would come, Clara would take them over to select a casket from up in the balcony area. Adolf was also in the funeral business. 1899 is the start of the funeral business. He was in the Cleveland Timber and Land Company. The last parcels of the Cleveland Timber and Land Company are on Hazel Street. I have 18 acres of wooded property. Those are the last parcels that are from that era of the Cleveland Timber and Land Company. He also, I found out, invested in a pickle factory here in Cleveland. Obviously that didn't make it. He was a silent member with the Vogel, Stoltenberg, and Vogel Lumber Company. He also was instrumental in bringing electricity to the village of Cleveland. The building next to the funeral home was originally a firehouse. I think that probably looking at the size of the building, it was probably more like a fire wagon with a lot of buckets on it. After the fire department moved from there, it became an electric company. And Hugo Wyand would tell me how at 10 o'clock it was lights out in the village of Cleveland, because great-grandpa would go over and throw the switch, and that put out the electricity in the village. He was a pioneer organizer of the Cleveland Fire Department. He served as a treasurer of that organization for many years. He was postmaster in Cleveland. He was also a bank director. He was on the school board. He was instrumental in the founding of the Cleveland Sportsman's Club. And I have a lot of pictures, and if I don't think I brought any of those along, of groups of men, and it's called one sign it says the 1939 Club, and one sign says it's in German, I can't read it. And I think these were all sportsmen, because they're all always dealing either with park or lakeside, and there's either fishing, hunting, or something involved. So these must have been the early meetings of a sportsman's group here in the village of Cleveland. He was a deputy in the village, or town at that time, and he was also a member of the old Rankin Guards of Manitowoc. So he was a very active individual. I have some more pictures here. This is another picture of the village of Cleveland. Now we're looking south down what is now Hickory Street. If you looked at some of the old maps of Cleveland, this was Main Street. And you can see in that picture the old store building, the new addition in 1902, the Grotegood livery stable, the Grotegood home is the next one. Then there was a blacksmith shop, and then the Hickory House, what we know as the Hickory House, and then what we know as the Wagner Lumber Yard, and I believe those were livestock. There were pens for livestock for shipping out on the train. And then, of course, way at the end you can kind of see what is Washington Street. It looks like it's turning down there. And the livery stable. Now the old bank building, yes. The old store was supposed to be a fireproof building. The rectangular part of that building was built of corrugated steel, and then insulation, and more steel, and more insulation, and then finally your plastered walls. Probably looking back in history, you'd say, well, the fires in Peshtigo and Chicago were on the mind, and apparently fires in villages and communities were usually pretty serious. So when Adolf built this store, he built it so that it was supposed to last. And what they didn't figure is that the heat would magnify through that metal. And so when the livery stable caught fire, and the fire department couldn't get enough water to get it under control, by the time they realized they were going to lose the store, it was too late for the family to go in because the heat had magnified. The building didn't catch fire from the other fire. What caught fire was the merchandise inside the store from the magnification of the heat. Things were bursting into flames. My dad remembered that by the time his parents went in, the draperies hanging on the windows were already burning. Even though the building wasn't exactly on fire, they were already starting to burn. I was told that the fire was so hot that the windows in the bank building cracked, and they were very, very afraid that the gas tanks at the Ford garage were going to blow up. Irene said, and Irene lived over on Irene Fiedler, that was Leonard's home, that was on Elm Street. Her parents got the children all up because they thought the whole village was going to go up in flames. The 1902 addition on the store. All of the family possessions were lost in that fire. They were unable to save anything. It's Leona Dersch in there with Adolf.
And the case they're standing on?
Yeah, well, that was one of the glass countered cases. And you can see that they're selling silverware and I don't know what all else is in there, but. And I do have, it's kind of interesting, I have a lot of letters that were written to Adolf during the war years from young men that were going into service that may have bought a watch or something, and they were writing to tell him that the watch was still running. It was a good watch. You can see that there were yard goods on the your left. And the building was long and kind of narrow. And if you could get a real close picture, you can see that there is a staircase on the right-hand side toward the back that goes upstairs. And I had asked Aunt Alma if she could remember what the upstairs of the home looked like. And she said, well, you have to remember that they were two separate buildings, but there was a staircase that came halfway down, and then the rest of the living quarters were in the old part of the store. When the new building was built, the old part became the kind of a warehouse storage type of area. I asked her, well, what did the interior look like? Because there are no pictures. And I did get, finally, someone came up with some pictures of the interior of the upstairs at Christmas time. And it's not a real good picture, but it's the only thing I have. She did say that the coloring in the woodworking was all white, and that the walls were extremely dark colors, like dark red, dark blue, and dark green. That was the style of the day. And we didn't have wall-to-wall carpeting, so it was kind of there was always like about 2 or 3 feet from the wall of wood around the room. It's up to you.
Okay, we're gonna take our little 5 or 10 minute break, so you're allowed to talk here, and if you wanna look at some of the pictures up here, or even come up here and get a closer look, we'll give you 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll start back with Earl's story here. Cameraman's back on, woke him up. Before we let Earl continue, does anybody have any questions for him? Oh, we got, okay, I'll let you answer, Earl. Who's the first one?
Go right ahead, please.
It's Irene Dine.
Thank you.
I wondered, what did that livery fire start, or what caused it?
Well, there are a lot of when I do history, I like to know for sure, and that's why I haven't really mentioned it, because I just learned of a new theory in what caused this fire. But the two that I have always been told was that the livery stable was rented by the Northwestern Railroad Depot, Northwestern Railroad, and that they would store the old cars in there when people would go to Chicago. They would shelter their vehicles in there, and that there was a thought that one of them backfired into hay. Another theory is that hobos were sleeping in there and left, I would imagine, a cigar or a cigarette, and that's what caused the fire. The fire was March 3rd, 1930. The Depression was 1929. On March 3rd, the great-grandpa Adolf was closing up the store at 9 o'clock, and when he went out to close the front doors, he noticed flames shooting out of the front of the livery stable. And of course he notified the fire department, and they tried to fight the fire, but that was a long building. Our backyard and parking lot was actually the length of that building, so it went from one street right to the other. And when you get that all going up in flames,
Your identification, sir?
John Wiegand.
Thank you.
When 1930, the fire was March, my father was just short of 9 years old. We live on South Union Road, which is a little mile to the west of there. He said he can remember real well the smoke, seeing the smoke come up. He has a totally different story that he heard many times over.
that's the news story.
Yeah, well, no, this is one that he's mentioned to me, years ago already, that the town of Centerville, which there was no village, it was town Centerville at that time. They had their records stored on one end of the livery stable, which like property tax.
You want to put this picture back in? This is what he's going to be referring to.
Yeah. What section of the building? And what?
The front portion, I never really looked at that.
Yeah.
There is office space in the front. You can see the window. Okay.
Well, town records like property tax and all that type of thing. He says that there was some, shall we say, unethical dealings going on in the town at that time. And to cover it up, somebody lit it. Somebody from the town, possibly, we can't say for sure, but he says the treasurer of the town at that time even went to jail after that. So he was kind of the guy that took the rap for it. And he told me this story many years ago, and he continues to say that's what happened. And so I guess you can believe what you want to, but he said one of the guys where they kind of got the wind of it is Earl Ulrich's grandfather. Earl's not here tonight, but he was down there to get a receipt or something for his property taxes, and they didn't give him one, or they couldn't give him one, or whatever. And like, he wanted the proof that he paid his property taxes, and he didn't get it. And that's kind of what got it started. The suspicions as to something's not going right here. And a year after that, my grandfather, who was out of Wiegand, was talked into running against the town chairman of Centerville, and he defeated him. And part of that was because of this whole thing here.
So now we have some new history.
My dad insists this is how it was. So.
Well, I wouldn't argue that.
Well,
because
okay.
That I never heard, and I wasn't aware that there was office space in the front of this livery. My visions of a livery are horses and stalls and wagons, and so I really couldn't tell you whether that's true or not. Again, I've had the experience with, you probably have all discussed the Jane Rain, and when I heard that, what the bad part of the story was, I said there's no way that could be true. And I'm kind of glad that we've been able to put that one to rest.
Was there another question on the floor? Okay, go ahead.
All right. Now the next pictures, this is what fire departments look like. Fighting looked like at the time. The fire was so bad.
Turn the mic a little harder.
Thank you. I was going to
Fire
say, thank you.
This thing is really picking it up. The fire was so bad that they called out fire departments from 7 different communities to fight this. I have pictures here of the aftermath. I believe that my grandfather told me that people did try to save things from the store, but with things bursting into flames, Adolf had to give the order that the fire department was not to let anybody go in and try to save anything. No, that's the Grotegut home, and most of the people here would remember that as Elmer Culp's home. It's another picture. You can see the Bailiff's building on the far right. That's Bailiff's building. Then there's an implement sales building. The red building in the center, that's the Dersch Greenery. And of course the Cleveland Bank.
The depot wasn't there?
The depot is there, but it's more to the right. It's just not showing up there. Now this would be from the north looking south. And you can just see the corner of the depot on this picture. I love the cars. And Cleveland wasn't beyond the age of horse-drawn sleighs and wagons. They were all also being used yet. You see the Ford garage that was built by Reuben. A little bit of the Dersch's barn is in there, and a part of what is now our garage is also in that picture. I don't know how they saved that. This one? Yeah. And before the Cleveland State Bank, or the Cleveland Bank was even built. That's the store. The addition is, I believe, that was the original store, and then next to it, which is, I think they're in the format of construction there, you can see the big white building. That's the funeral home, which at that time was a furniture store and manufacturing. Back further. Oh, back here? Yeah. You can see St. Wendel, the steeple, way back, yeah. And the Pytel store, and Thomas Hardware. What I remember as Thomas Hardware, that's right in the middle of the picture, over one more, there.
Who had that tavern?
I don't, Wally and
That was
Miller's.
But before,
And before Miller's, there were Sedlocks were in there too, I think, at one time, yeah. Groats were in there. It actually, it was a tavern, but it was also like a boarding house.
Okay.
And after the fire, Adolf lived upstairs, rented rooms upstairs, and my dad and his parents lived upstairs over the Cleveland Bank. until the new store could be built. Get that and you say, well, $40,000, that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but remember the Depression in 1929, $40,000 in those days was a lot of money. Yeah. Well, okay, so then the fire was in March, and the new store construction began in July. The great-grandpa had hundreds of acres in northern Wisconsin, which he sold off at 50 cents an acre. Right now I'm thinking he should have kept the acreage and forgotten about the store. I do have pictures of that too. But the new store, the construction began. And on December 10th, the December 10th of 1930, they had their grand opening. There were the Prangies came because this was a supposedly state-of-the-art store. And there were a lot. If you read the newspaper, a lot of dignitaries from Sheboygan and Manitowoc were there.
How many rooms were in that building upstairs?
Well, we have a kitchen, a formal dining room, an extremely large living room. As a child growing up, we had 3 bedrooms. We now have 4. Why, I don't know, but I have 4 bedrooms. We had 3 bedrooms when I was a child, and the 4th room was used as a den. The living room and dining room were for company only. We have big glass French doors, which Mom kept closed. Then there's a bathroom and a laundry. And a linen closet, 2 linen closets. That was the upstairs. And then later on, my dad added a 3 seasons room upstairs. As a child growing up, I remember, it was so hot upstairs. Black roof, flat, no attic, so all the heat from the daytime sun was upstairs, and air conditioning did not exist. And so at night, my parents would take rugs and lay them out on our flat roof, and they had some reclining chairs they had up on the roof, and then we would sleep out on that roof. It was all right. Mosquitoes were bad. Not to mention the aromas. Cleveland, I always kind of laugh because we were kind of situated between a pig farm on the south and Limburger Lake on the north. So I also remember that we were out of water by 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the canning company was in full swing. And Mom filled milk cans so that we had water. All right. Well, let's start with some of these. Yeah. There's the new building, and we sold Christmas trees. You can still see the railings in the front for hitching your horse. And the staircase, which I don't know where they ever came up with code for those because they were huge. and there were no railings. And I remember as a kid, my job in winter was to shovel them, and my dad wanted them shoveled all the way. Needless to say, I took care of that later on. Majestic. My dad was interested in electronics of those days, and so in 1933 we introduced Majestic radio and appliances to the store. They built on the second part of the back portion of the store, and so that became the storage, and the room that was storage then became our furniture and appliance display area. The interior of the store, before the era of self-service, looked like this. All low counters and merchandise piled on the counters. People would come in, and in the back you can see there's a glass counter with the register. I still have the old register. They would come in with their grocery list, go to the back counter, hand it to the clerk, and the clerk would gather all the groceries. The eagle that you see above the door there is the Majestic eagle. That was the symbol of the Majestic radio company. We also have that in storage. My brother-in-law is really interested in antiques, and he can't understand why I'm not overly thrilled with antiques. I grew up with antiques. We still have many of those counters and the light fixtures. In fact, you see that little wooden chair? I still sit in that chair. This is a picture of Adolf standing in front of the new building. And he always wore a suit. I asked Aunt Clara, how in the world did you do store work and keep clean and always wear a suit? That was just the way business people who dressed in a suit. Now this is a picture of the back of the building before the storage part was built, and it was all loading dock. So when you look at our building now, the brick portion, that was the original portion, and then later on the cement block portion was where the loading dock is. The unusual thing about that is that means that our basement has a concrete ceiling. And as a kid, my job was to mark groceries every Friday night. And I nicknamed the basement our dungeon. The back portion here we used for vinegar. Vinegar was brought in large wooden barrels. I believe there was 50 to 75 gallons in a barrel. They came from the Richter Vinegar Company in Manitowoc. You had to drill a hole, put in a spigot, tip the barrel on the side, knock out the top part so that you could get, and then you sat in the basement during canning season for what seemed like endless hours watching this vinegar flow out of the spigot through cheesecloth into people's jars or jugs. they would bring jugs, and it seemed like we never got, that was also one of my jobs. I never got out of the basement. That was okay until it came time to date. You really didn't want to go out on a date smelling like vinegar. This is a picture of Adolf, and now we're coming to the end of his life. This is still before the era of self-service. And I like this picture because, well, first of all, I still have that dolly that he's got there, but also because you can see, if you look at the picture, the types of products and the prices. There is nothing over 50 cents. There's 29 cents, there's 20 cents, there's 15. Boy, those were the days. And look at the size of the candy bars. In the old store, we still have the cookie bins in storage. They were copper. I remember Oscar Lutzy worked for us, and as a little boy, he would pick me up, and he would carry me around the store, and he'd point to things, and he'd say, "Do you want that?" Well, if it was a can of beets, no, I didn't want that. And then he'd point to asparagus, no, I didn't want that. But he'd get to those cookie bins, and oh yeah, that I wanted. My parents, growing up in a store, it wasn't really like living a normal life. I mean, we worked. I'm sure that if you grew up on a farm, you worked too, but I think a lot of people thought that growing up in a store, you didn't really have to work. You just put the key in the door, unlock the door, and the money flows in. But that's not quite the way it worked. And there are some things I do remember. I remember my mother having to go downstairs and tend the store till 9 o'clock at night. And she put me in a playpen, or my dad was put into a great big canning crock to keep us from running around the store. And I kind of remember, but not real well. My mother says that a lady came in the store, and she went back in the corner where the playpen was, and she left out a scream, and she said, "Your little boy's all covered with green stuff." Well, I had reached out of the playpen, and I had gotten the old-fashioned Airwick, which I proceeded to drink. So, that's why they kept you in a pen. Birthday. And my folks drove into Sheboygan to get that basket of roses for him. Reuben passed away in 1946. Adolf in 1946. Reuben in 1949. Grandma Stoltenberg in 1953. That was also very hard on my family financially, because in those days you could not pass property from one to another without going through inheritance tax. And so within a matter of 10 years, the estate passed 4 times, because it ended up in my father's hands. Jumping around a little bit. This is the Ford garage. And I actually have the blueprints from the original, for the original building, and it didn't look like anything that I remembered
Can you
at all.
turn it up a little, Earl, otherwise you wouldn't even hear it on your...
Yeah,
I-
thank you.
It comes and it goes here. I have the original blueprints, and I was looking for them this evening just before I came. For some reason, I can't remember exactly where I put them. The original blueprints do not look at all like what I remember growing up when Umsted's had the garage. Those big windows were all little colonial panes in the original building. It was a very, very pretty building. One of the things about that building was that it was a very large building without any pillars. The spans, you drove in on what is now Madison, and you came out on the other end of the building, drove out onto Hickory Street. Hickory Street.
Earl, if I may interrupt, now this,
This was built by
built-
Reuben.
it was built by Reuben. Okay,
Reuben loved cars and was instrumental in adding the Hubmobile and later on the Ford franchise to the village of Cleveland. Adolph is the man nearest the large door. Alma is the lady in the fur coat. I believe that the youngest one is probably my dad. And Clara is probably there, and I think behind Alma is her husband, William Kane. William was killed in a plane as a result of a plane crash. He had the first airplane in the Green Bay area. He worked for the Johnson Corporation, and they were doing experimental work with the deaf, and the plane went into a spin and it crashed. He didn't die in the crash, but shortly thereafter from complications. Active with in sports. He loved hunting and fishing. Reuben is the heavyset man, and the dog Trooper is the little brownish colored one. The second man in the lighter coat, one in the lighter coat, I believe that is Bill Nennick. I would think then that if that was Bill Nennick, that Hugo Yanning would be in there as well, somewhere. So one of them is probably him. This is, again, a picture going back. This is the old store building the back after a day of fishing. I have no idea. When I was in college in Oshkosh, I was put in charge, one of three, in charge of taking care of the Lutheran campus house there. We served cost suppers, so the guys, the three of us, decided, oh, we could make some money, we'll go out fishing. They caught 150 white bass. They brought them back to the house. They cleaned them in the basement. And we had scales everywhere. So, I know what it would be to get a big catch. Company. These are some pictures of properties that Adolph had in northern Wisconsin. This obviously is near a rail line so that the logs could be taken out and brought back, I'm assuming, down here to Cleveland. This was the lumberjacks' mess hall, which later on became their camping. Here are a picture of, well, Adolf is in there. No, next one is Adolf, in the middle. Does anybody remember what Charlie Wimler looked like? Mr. Wimler? The Harold? Is that the man in the corner down here? The heavy set with the suspenders? Yeah. Again, another picture from up there. Yes. Original funeral home was a furniture store, and that was opened February 15th, 1895. This picture is after it was remodeled in 1942 to become a funeral home. Before the time of the funeral home, when a person died, the funeral home or the funeral service would bring all the materials to the home, and the body was embalmed in the home. And it was usually there for visitation in the parlor. I can find a picture. I have one of a horse-drawn caisson. It is a military funeral. I don't know whose it was, but I do have a picture of that too. And I also have a picture of the, and I couldn't lay my hands on that one right away either, of the horse-drawn hearse, which I think the Grotegut stables owned and Adolf rented. When we remodeled the building next to the funeral home, which was a firehouse, and we made it a garage, the light fixtures were still in there. And I didn't realize there was a lot of value in that stuff. So there was a gentleman from Kiel, and he was into restoring. And he saw those. We had a funeral, and he wandered back behind the funeral home and saw those laying there. And he wanted those just so bad. Those were still gas lights. So I sold them. I should have hung on to them. That's one of the hearses. I remember a lot of different hearses. I remember one we had with a glass roof. And as a little boy, I stood in our hallway and would always watch the procession go by on Madison as it made the corner onto Hickory. And you could look right through and see the casket inside the hearse. As I got a little older, it became my job to do the polishing and cleaning of the hearses. And waxing. And I remember our first hearse that had a vinyl roof. It was a very lovely hearse. It was kind of a greenish color, and it had this black vinyl roof on it, and the vinyl had like a autumn leaf print set into it. I hated that hearse. You could never get that vinyl clean. I was so glad when we got rid of it. Really pretty much looks like now. And in that picture, my dad and myself in my Annie years, and Irene Fiedler. Yeah, that's Irene. And I should remember the boys.
Poster says the firemen stand disabled first.
Yep. When the store was originally built, they had the big picture windows in the front, and then some like skylight windows over the top of those yet. So in summer, the temperature very easily went to 99 to 110 degrees inside the store. And originally there were just little shelves, low shelves by the windows, and then later on that was built out and encased so that displays could be made in the windows. And then when it went to self-service, they took those out and shelving was shoved up against. What you see on the top of the picture toward the back was my attempt to get back some kind of a backdrop to make Christmas displays and so forth in the windows. But it truly is a general store. There's everything from hardware to shoes and boots and clothing, food items, housewares. More of it has gone now into floral and gift, but at that time there was still quite a demand for quick hardware and shoes and boots and that type of thing. Unfortunately, children became very fashion conscious, and so they couldn't wear Red Bull Jets or Levi jeans that they had to have the fancy stitching in the pockets, or they had to be I don't even know what the what all the names of the new tennis shoes are, but they also came with big prices.
Earl, I got a question for you. Charlie Bauer, how did you resupply your store? Did you get your supplies off the rail, or did you go with a truck and pick them up someplace?
We had trucks that came in, but before that, I did help my dad unload railroad cars. Across the street from the store was the depot, and to the south of the depot was a ramp where you could bring a truck up, and that was about the height of a railroad car. And I remember unloading a year's worth of soap from Procter & Gamble. I remember wooden crates filled with boots. That was before they packaged everything in nice, neat little boxes. Jeans and work clothing came in big, heavy boxes. Refrigerators, stoves, televisions, wash machines, all of that was brought in by rail. And we unloaded it onto a truck, and then took the truck to the back of the store where the loading dock was, and then brought it into the store there.
Before we run out of time here, does anybody got any questions yet for Earl? Because he's still got some more stuff to do here, but we're going to keep it to 8:30, and he promised me he would come back and continue this at a later date. So I'm gonna take a couple.
If you're not bored.
I'm gonna take a couple questions here yet, and then we're gonna wrap it up at 8:30.
Go right ahead.
John Wiegand, when your store was built in 1930, do you know who did the construction work and any idea of the cost?
Schmidt Construction.
And cost, any idea?
No, that I don't have any idea.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably in one of the newspaper articles that Grandma Stoltenberg does have. As I said, a lot of the old pictures and displays, articles and things that she saved were destroyed by the fire. Anything after the fire, there she again started with her scrapbooks, and I have lots of pictures of the bad snowstorms of, what was it, 1936, and
Go right ahead, sir.
Is John Wiegand again, as long as I'm on here. When I looked at your great-grandfather Adolf, if he were living today, he'd probably be pictured as one of these evil rich men, the 1% and all that kind of thing. But you mentioned to some of us once that when the Depression hit, he donated candy to the church for the bags for Christmas Eve.
right.
I thought that was a nice gesture on his part. So rich people aren't all bad.
You have to, I have to, like I said, when I list all the things that he was involved in and invested in, it wasn't, I don't think it was all driven to make money. He was truly interested in business and developing the village of Cleveland. And so he tried all kinds of things.
If I may interrupt, Earl, as far as his educational thing, did he go to high school, college, business college, anything?
He studied for a while in Minnesota. I know that. I don't know if he got a degree there. He came back to Wisconsin, and he was employed, what you remember as the Schutte Brothers department store, where he worked as, like an apprentice, learning the trade.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to close, and I'd like to give Earl a great big round of applause here for a wonderful presentation. And, I know next month, I got an email from Kathy here, and next month we'll get set up for Gordon Kraus, a pottery wheel business in Cleveland. I'm not familiar with that, so that will be our for next month. And we're going to do introductions one more time around, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
And then we're going to wrap it up. And Earl will come back at a later date and bring us further on up. Okay. Yes, Irene.
Irene, can I have your name?
Wait, I'll give you the mic.
Irene Dine.
Thank you.
I just have one thing to say. Today is Willie and Alice's 63rd wedding anniversary.
Oh! Thank you, Irene. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here now, and our next meeting will be the second Monday of November, which is Veterans Day. So keep that in mind if you want to. They always got Veterans Day salute at various cemeteries and that. I'm Charlie Bauer from Newton.
Head, please.
Gertie Free, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Hey, Free Cleveland.
Thank you.
Frederick Jacoby, Manitowoc.
Good.
Rick Beiersdorf, Mimi.
Thank you.
Marilyn Varick, Centerville Road.
Thank you for coming.
Pre Cleveland.
Good.
Shelby Herman, Town of Mimi.
Good. Thank you.
Lana Priggy, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Irene Dine, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Alice Mathias, Cleveland.
Lauren Mathias, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Henry Koch, Manitowoc. Have I really aged that much that you need my name again?
Yeah. It's me. It's me.
Judy Koch, Manitowoc.
Thank you.
Grace Yeager, Cleveland.
Thank you.
John Scott, Milwaukee.
Thank you for coming too.
Kirsten Husband, Cleveland.
Thank you. Go right ahead, sir.
Earl Stoltenberg, Cleveland.
Thank you, and thank you for a job well done. Thank you. Right ahead, please.
Cheryl Bauer, Town of Newton.
Thank you.
Marie Rosenbauer, Newton.
Very good.
Lisa Elfson, Newton.
Thank you.
Hazel Wagner, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Phyllis Hickman, Cleveland.
Good.
June Smazel, Rockville.
Good.
Ken Smazel, Rockville.
Thank you.
Don Schneider, Lewis Corners.
Good.
Paul Schwinn, Cleveland.
Good.
John Wiegand, Town of Centerville.
Thank you.
Eugene Meiser, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Jerry O'Neill, the videographer for the evening. And again, we do appreciate everybody coming to this wonderful historic event here today. We learned an awful lot. Thank you again, folks. And thank you, Earl.